After the 1-for-8 start, still has the 7-point lead at halftime. Coming up on these 7-Up report, scores and highlights.
New Jersey, Rutgers had 24 first-half points. They trail by 7. Their 20 first-half points here. Their lowest output for a first half this season. Glenn, the people in Connecticut, I can hear them now. What's wrong with the Huskies? The offense looks terrible, but as we look at the DiGiorno halftime highlights, emphasize the defense for UConn.
Well, UConn's defense is the thing that really stands out. You can see Rutgers shooting 25%, and one of the things they've been able to do is pretty much shut down the leading scorers of Rutgers. Between Jeff Billett and Rob Hodgson, they're shooting 1 for 7 from the field and have a combined 3 points, all Billett's. So they've done a nice job of taking their major scorers out of the ball game. But yet on the offensive end, UConn, if they take their time, you know, they've had even greater opportunities. They could have pushed this thing up to maybe a 12-point lead if they didn't turn the ball over 11 times.
Well, I haven't seen that happen in the last couple of years. There was a foul before the ball was inbounded to start the half. El-Amin was holding Billett, who tried to shake free. Then Billett missed a 3. With the rebound for Hodgson.
And that was a nice job by Voskuhl. No one covered Billett, so Voskuhl came way out of the pivot to make that shot difficult.
Spin by Clark, who had 2 fouls. Nice move by Eric, who missed the last about 11 minutes of the half with those 2 fouls.
And that's the biggest reason why Jake Voskuhl was on the bench for most of the first half. It's because of the quickness of Clark, who's really taking him out of the game.
Ricky Moore, after a scoreless first 20, is off. Rutgers, chance to get it down to 3 or 2 here.
Once again, playing their pace. They're going to take their time, explore the defense, spread the floor, and look to exploit the quickness of Clark on Voskuhl or Hodgson on Freeman inside.
Hodgson turned away by Freeman, who was always solid on the defensive end. Greer, nobody for boards. Voskuhl for UConn. Here come the Huskies with El-Amin, the point guard. Now 4 of 14 from the field.
College definitely not shy. There's no question about it. He never met a shot that he didn't like.
Clark the rebound, working on Voskuhl again. That time Jake's defense wins out Hamilton. Rutgers back nicely. Hamilton short on a 3. Voskuhl inside. First points of the night for the sophomore from Texas. He's not much of a scorer. His dad said he's never had 20 points at any level in any game.
But he doesn't need 20 points on this team. Just needs to assert himself on the boards and create that obstacle on the defensive end.
Greer fouled Hamilton. El-Amin did a good job pushing it and finding Rick. It was a first 20 minutes were quiet for Richard Hamilton. He had 9 points, 2 of 6 in the field. Jeff Billett, boy, what a job UConn does defensively on Billett. 1 of 13 field goal shooting in his last 60 minutes against the Huskies.
And you saw right there, only 4 field goal attempts. I think Billett made up his mind tonight. He's going to let the game come to him, take his shots when he's open. But it still has to be frustrating considering the first 2 nights that he had.
The one thing about Billett, yesterday he did what you said when he hit that only shot that he hit in the half, the 3. He let the game come to him. He wasn't unbelievable in the first half, but in the second half, the opportunities presented themselves a little bit more, and that's when Billett started to tally up his points.
And that's when the cerebral approach plays dividends, so to speak. You have to understand this game and recognize that your chances will come. It's just a question of not forcing and capitalizing when you do find an opportunity.
Foul on Billett. So the Rutgers guard picks up a foul. The frustration continues.
Well, we'll take a look here at the defense. There's Ricky Moore on him, doing a nice job. 4 different guys. Khalid, El-Amin, and then Hamilton switches off, and here Hardnett on him. And what that's done is kind of wear him down a little bit. It's given him different looks. He's got tall, long-armed guards creating obstacles to his shooting.
This is Connecticut's largest edge of the night. Hardnett travel.
Again, just a little too quick for the offensive flow. You know, that's the move that you have to make quickly, but if you're in a hurry, you're going to get called for a walk.
because your feet shuffle. Each team has turned it over a dozen times here in the Garden tonight. Earl Johnson. Oh, nice take by Johnson. The sophomore who had 16 in the first game between these two teams. Makes it a 7-point game.
Nice battle inside between Hodgson and Freeman, banging bodies.
El-Amin at 2 from outside.
That's one of the reasons why Connecticut has to step up their perimeter game a little bit, because of the inside defense. Rutgers players inside doing a nice job of fighting for front position.
Dillon had a step on Hamilton, or rather Hardnett. Bosco turned him away. El-Amin head up and looking. Bosco bails him. Hardnett will go to the line.
Well, that was good recognition by Bosco, but it was El-Amin. You know, Jim Calhoun says that he loves the way he's able to change speeds. He doesn't like the one-speed guys because, again, right there with that little hitch, he lulls you into a false sense of security that he's slow-footed, and then, boom, he turns on the afterburners, gets by you, and on the penetration, that's what created that situation, forced Rutgers to rotate and then ultimately foul.
But they are still off and not in sync.
It's been a struggle, but again, methodically, they've been able to push this lead out. It's now 10 and stays at 10.
Largest advantage of the night for Jim Calhoun's team. Hodgson, scoreless in the first half. Jeff Billett looking for some room. Earl Johnson. Again, good Husky half-court defense. Johnson, that's 3.
No, that's D. Montreal Hardnett with a nice job.
Well done. El-Amin lost his man and got 2. He shoots a lot, but when he gets going, it frees up everybody else on this Husky team.
I've got rhythm. That's El-Amin right there. He's feeling it now.
Clark denied. Hardnett took an elevator way up. Bannon can't believe no goaltends.
Well, I'll tell you why. The ball was coming down, but it was far short of the rim. Had no chance to go in, hence no goaltending.
Be careful. A big basket here. Really get the momentum going UConn's way.
And the young freshman point guard also has to recognize he's got teammates, got to play with them, but if he gets the opportunity.
Hamilton's 3. Summary of his shooting difficulties. Khalid El-Amin, yes, he is the point guard, but he has more shots than the rest of his team. His 14 points, the reason the Huskies are up a dozen in the Big East semifinal. Chris, Temple played Rutgers this year, and when the Scarlet Knights won at Temple on December 20th, it was really the first big win for Kevin Bannon's team. They've had 2 big wins here in the AT&T Big East Championship, but on semifinal Friday night, they're down a dozen to the top seed UConn. El-Amin and Hamilton carrying the team because Ricky Moore is on the bench. He banged knees during the Providence second half yesterday and had that knee taped, which didn't look to be slow in the first half, but has not played much here in the second half. The trainer's been down there with Ricky for the last 4 minutes or so.
Well, Richard Hamilton, 85% free throw shooter. And right now on that one, it seemed as though just did not have the rhythm. He stepped over the line before the ball hit the rim. The second one was much more to his liking.
He's 7 of 8 from the line. It's right about that average. 85. Rutgers needs to do something on the offensive end. Just 4 points in the second half. Hodgson is battling. Lost the battle. That's why the turnover.
Excellent job, again, Jake Bosco patrolling that lane, keeping the ball out of the sweet spot.
Voskuhl knocked over Clark, who knocked over Hamilton. So numbers on this end for Rutgers. That's why Johnson gets a second chance. Back it out. Let everybody get on their sneakers instead of their butt.
And one of the few times Rutgers in the second half has been able to penetrate into that paint and still came away with nothing and still have possession.
Tough shot. And a foul on UConn, on Jake.
But we talk about the fact that UConn is playing great defense. They've been able to keep it out of lane. Watch Jake Voskuhl right there patrol that lane and keep the ball out of the sweet spot. Now hold it right there. They're able to clear that spot. No ball gets in there, no black shirt. And hence they force long shots, which has contributed to the poor field goal percentage by Rutgers. An excellent job by Jake Voskuhl. He may not wow you on offense. Look at the rebounds. And again, his presence underneath.
His career high is 15. Greer the miss. They're now 9 of 43 from the field. Nice block. Clark the block. E.J. Harrison trying to create something off the bench. Number Sanders. Sam Sanders' first field goal. Suleiman Wan, who played so well in the first half of the Huskies, back in as Voskuhl takes a break with his 3 personal fouls.
Well, with the lineup that they have on the floor, UConn's got to get a lot of mileage out of Wan and out of Richard Hamilton.
Wan continuing to play as well as I've seen him play all year. That's a good bunch of the Huskies games. Battle inside, and Wan had too much of the senior Eric Clark. We have a second to remind you the championship week continues. Our doubleheader. Game 2 here in New York. It's Syracuse against St. John's. Felipe Lopez and company on its home floor. And then Fresno State UNLV on Vegas' home floor. That's coming up after SportsCenter. Jeff Greer. Second 3 he's hit tonight. And for as poor as Rutgers is shooting, they're within 10.
That has a lot to do with some of the missed opportunities by UConn. They're getting the ball where they want to. They just can't put the shots down.
Odd group right now for Calhoun. Hamilton's the only starter on the floor.
And that's why I said they got to get mileage out of him, but he's not taking good shots. All balance, out of sync.
He's 2 of 9 tonight. His points are coming from the line. Rutgers can make it a single-digit game.
And look at Clark backing Wan down. But his teammates don't see him.
Greer couldn't hit the counterpunch. Nobody stopped Hartnett. Foul by Clark, 3rd on the Rutgers senior starting center.
And that's pretty much the difference between the Rutgers offense and the UConn's offense, or both teams' defense. UConn able to get the ball into the paint, and even if they're not making shots, they're drawing fouls, getting to the free throw line, and putting an awful lot of pressure on that back line of Rutgers.
5 Rutgers team fouls here in the second half. 3 on UConn. 1 more for Hartnett, the only senior on this team. Well, Hodgson and Billett, despite the poor shooting, did do some scoring, especially in that second game. But tonight, these guys have been shut down, and you are talking score 1 and 2 for Kevin Bannon's team. Moore remains with ice on that left knee. Hartnett continues to contribute for the Huskies. We lead by 11 with 11:47 to go. This is the first of our 2 primetime Friday night semifinals at the AT&T Big East Championship. Game 2 comes up next. Syracuse against St. John's. Just the ring of that in Madison Square Garden brings back Big East memories. We'll see who writes the next chapter and who will join either Connecticut or Rutgers in the championship game tomorrow night. There's some of the Orangemen hanging around waiting to see if UConn will advance over in the bracket. So you saw Hamilton sitting. El-Amin now becomes the lone starter on the floor with E.J. Harrison, Monquencio Hartnett, Rochmel Jones, and Suleiman Wan.
And again, pressure by UConn. tight pressure as well, trying to force the turnover. You look and see they've upped their energy level defensively. But Rutgers weathers the storm and again goes back to their normal, comfortable pace.
The shot clock inside of 10. Hodgson out there and lost. Sam Sanders. Clark spun. Step too much for travel. We send it back to Chris Fowler.
In the ACC, Clemson's gone on a big run here. Terrell McIntyre around the screen, knocks down a three. And from way down, Clemson now leads by a deuce, Mike.
Baker said today Wake needed one. See if they hang on the deuce. Here in the Big East, Connecticut leads by 11, just inside of 11. Sanders all the way out here on hard net. Rutgers has not played poor defense. We're talking about Connecticut to give the Scarlet Knights credit. Jay Harrison. Oh, for a guy who doesn't play at all and became eligible December 20th to transfer from Western Connecticut State University. It's the two.
And that was a no-choice shot. He never even saw the rim until he let it go. He had no choice but to shoot it.
Sanders is off. Won the rebound.
You know, Rutgers can't afford to go down on a quick possession, one shot and out. And that's because they don't get very many, simply because they play a controlled style.
Johnson in trouble. Hodgson saves him. Hodgson and Bill have got to do something here. Last 10 minutes. They're 1 of 11 combined from the field. The top two scorers shoot like that, you're going home. That's out of bounds off Rutgers. Their defense is outstanding, Connecticut, tonight.
Well, they're swarming, and that's really how they have to play at this point in time. Again, trying to make sure that the one possession that Rutgers has, they never get an open look. And each time Rutgers brings it to the baseline, tries to get inside that lane, you see 2, 3, sometimes 4 white shirts surrounding the ball, forcing them to kick it back outside.
El-Amin and Freeman back in. Harrison handled too much and lost it. Clark. Harrison not on the floor many minutes. Turned it over. See what Johnson does on it now.
Well, Jim Calhoun has the luxury of looking down his bench to see who's ready to play, kind of looking forward to tomorrow night's game, if in fact that comes to pass for them. He's comfortable right now. You know, a guy like E.J. Harrison could be very valuable in a championship game.
El-Amin set on the bench and has lost his shooting touch. Trying to get it back in the single digits, and Kevin Bannon just kind of vocally brings the offense back over toward the bench. To set up this, Johnson, 3. The explosive leaper Sanders almost helps get the rebound.
Well, it was Juan who got a hand on it again and kicked it out to his own teammate.
Nice take by Hamilton. Freeman, double dribble. Chris Digger, Dick and Quinn Buckner, Sunday at 6:30. The men's tournament selection special presented by GTE. It's 60 minutes, the only significant 60 minutes on Sunday night. Followed by Robin, Mimi, and Rebecca, the women's NCAA selection special presented by State Farm. You want the brackets broken down for you? You have it. 90 minutes with the men's and women's selection specials Sunday night. Not waiting for that. Or pass by Johnson. Hamilton got it back. Jody Sylvester in his way. Doesn't matter. Ripper on the ref for 2. Foul on Jake Bosco on the offensive end. Jody Sylvester has worked a lot of Big East games. Now he's a part of one in a different way.
And you take a look at Richard Hamilton. Once again, UConn likes to shoot the gap. I'll tell you what made that play. It was not only Hamilton's anticipation, but it was Bosco's front on the post, down low. That's where Rutgers wanted to go. Bosco stepped in front and forced the passer to go in another direction, and Hamilton did the rest.
Jody with some nimble feet to get out of the way. That was like you're crossing the street in New York and you see the don't walk blinking, but there's a cab trying to streak across the intersection and you're just trying to find some space to be out of the way. Sylvester, Mike Pitts, and Jim Burr working the game tonight. Earl Johnson over Klaver. Sanders missed a dunk. And Clark of Rutgers got fouled by UConn's third-string center.
And you see why UConn wants to keep Rutgers out of the paint. Primarily because bad things happen when a penetrator gets in there. It doesn't necessarily have to result in a field goal, but certainly if the ball went up on the board, now you got the Rutgers guys crashing. UConn totally out of position. So they work hard before that point to keep people out of the paint. Use an excellent position.
So Jim Calhoun, he was talking to Richard Hamilton, reminding him, pleading with him, please, box out. And Kevin Bannon saying, please, you find somebody to make some shots. 12 of 51 from the field. Rutgers on record pace for poor field goal shooting percentage. But we're only down a dozen inside of 8 minutes. Connecticut by 12, coming up on 7:50. Here's second half, Len.
And this is what I talked about Voskuil's great defense. You take a look here. The ball handler wants to get the ball to Clark. Can't do it. He comes back out here, and that's when Hamilton shoots the gap. Voskuil whips around in front, forces the ball handler to go in another direction, and you saw Hamilton with the anticipation and the quick feet to get around the official. We talked about crowding in the lane right here to keep people out. Look, you've got 3-4 white shirts in the lane covering all receivers, forcing Johnson into an off-balance shot. Again, UConn with excellent defense in the interior.
Voskuil on the bench, though, because of his foul trouble. He has 4. Suleiman Wan has 3. That's some of the reason. Answer Klaver's on the floor right now. Hartnett an open 3. Rebounded by Hodgson. Billett is open for a moment.
That's just right. He didn't see the streaker coming from there.
El-Amin, a great look, but Freeman lost the handle and traveled. Ricky Moore re-aggravated the knee injury that he had on the knee-to-knee contact against Providence yesterday. Didn't re-bang it. It just kind of became painful again, so he is now iced down and back in the game. See what kind of movement he has.
Well, the problem would be in a situation like that, if it starts to swell again, it starts to constrict the joint and make it difficult to move. I know, because I've had 2 knees that have given that kind of trouble over the years, and certainly when I played, so I can empathize.
Another Rutgers turnover. Their 17th of the night.
Except Ricky's not as old as I am, so he can go right back out there. Young leg.
Were you ever as quick as Ricky is?
Not in that way.
El-Amin, the quick trigger.
There are other ways to measure a big man's quickness.
And never when reaching for his wallet after dinner. Rutgers needs one. Clark being physical inside and forced the foul on Klaver.
But Klaver's just got off the bench. He's not accustomed to the physical nature of this play. Voskuil had it from the beginning, so he's been able to bump and grind. Klaver's going to have to get used to it quickly.
How's Ricky Moore doing?
It looks like his knee is doing pretty well. It's actually below the kneecap. He seems to be moving nicely, able to cut. Doesn't seem to be any favoring. But again, you get in a game like this, you know, that's the type of thing you just put out of your mind and you keep going. It's nagging, but it's certainly not constricting.
Well, Voskuil with the foul trouble, so Juan comes back in first off the bench. Jake has 4. Suleiman has 3. Klaver, who just picked up the personal, takes a seat.
And the reason why I think that Klaver's sitting down is because, again, when you come off the bench in a game like this, you've had a chance to get a perspective. You've got to be ready for the bumping and grinding. You don't let a guy walk you right into the lane.
22nd timeout here for Rutgers as they are down 12. Well, coming up next, Felipe Lopez, the senior who finally got a postseason win at Madison Square Garden last night. Now, he and St. John's set their sights on Syracuse in our second AT&T Big East semifinal, to be followed by UNLV on its home floor after the big win over Utah, taking on Fresno State. Let me ask you a big picture question about championship week presented by 7-Up. Connecticut has struggled offensively with teams that know UConn style. Kansas was sluggish with Kansas State. Kentucky struggled today in their conference game. The big boys, the top 8 teams in the country are struggling a bit, other than the ACC teams, in conference tournament play. Is it because everybody knows all your stuff at this point in the year?
Well, it's a combination. Everybody is shooting at you. And I mentioned before, again, in conference play, the only difference between the top teams and the mediocre teams throughout the season is that attitude. And on a one-and-done type of night, you know, all it takes is for somebody to really believe in themselves. But the other side of it is the great teams like the Kansas, like UConn, they find a way to win.
And for UConn, it's been the defensive end 2 nights in a row. One again. Oh, I thought you had one more time, but El-Amin picked up his 4th foul.
And Juan almost won that battle. The fact of the matter is, he made a mistake by letting Clark get in too deep. But certainly he had an answer for it. Excellent timing that time. Just one more time. Clark finally gets in a better position to draw the contact. You see where Clark is, 2 feet in the lane. That's a no-no. But Juan is able to answer back. But finally he reaches over. I think that 3rd time with experience, he would just put his hands straight up. Clark, anticipating the contact, might not have been able to put that shot down. Hence no foul and a missed shot. But you got to give El-Amin a lot of credit. And I think the UConn faithful are showing their appreciation.
He goes to the bench with 4 fouls. So Voskuhl and Juan, 2 big men with 4 fouls for the Huskies. Clark keeps the UConn lead at 11. We have not seen Alvidas Tunis, I beg your pardon, the large man off the bench for the Scarlet Knights. 5 seconds called by Jim Burr. Almost thought El-Amin released the shot before the 5 count. And so did Mr. Calhoun on the other side.
Well, I will say this, though, watching the whole play, including the officials, you know, if a guy's being closely guarded, the officials have to give the sign. You got to be more demonstrative. The players got to understand that.
Klaver out of position. Clark couldn't finish. Hamilton, the rebound, and settle it down. Starting 5 with the exception of the center, back in for UConn.
And there it is. You can see the arm going straight out. The last play, it might not have been as demonstrative as it needed to be.
His little curl passes to the big man have been deflected a lot by Rutgers tonight when Hamilton has made it. Ricky Moore looking quick. Klaver no. Freeman foul.
Well, Ricky Moore has definitely gotten back into rhythm right now. You know, he's the guy that possesses probably the most explosive quickness in the UConn backcourt. He can't even be held as he gets by his man. An excellent recognition underneath. Just couldn't get the finish.
16 foul on Rutgers. Moore back on the bench and back with the ice.
And again, that ice is designed to keep the swelling down so it doesn't constrict the joint.
On the double team, Sanders and Hodgson got close, and Sam picked up the foul. You'll see NBA veteran big men. Patrick Ewing comes to mind. If you're at a Knick game and covering it, you walk in the locker room immediately post-game. It's 2 ace bandages around the knees surrounding big ice packs, and you're grimacing like you've experienced that. I just gave you a bad flashback.
No, I was actually smiling. That feel good right about that. But yeah, you know, the pounding takes its toll on the joints, particularly the knees, and the ice, what it does is keep the swelling down so that you have less difficulty the next day.
Ricky Moore's always seems to be injured, whether it's a shoulder, a nose, or a hand. 3 different surgeries during his UConn days.
But he always comes back.
Yeah, he does.
He comes back strong.
Tough guy. His pops are very proud of him. His dad is a caddy on the PGA Tour. Every time we see him, he always makes sure that we know that Ricky's shooting the ball well. He needs to shoot it a little bit more. 20-second timeout for Rutgers, down 13. Take this opportunity, for those of you who just joined us, to remind you about our Bud Light storyline. Rutgers has been ice cold from behind the arc, 6 of 38 over the last about 75 minutes, even though they won yesterday. Jeff Billett cannot get off a comfortable shot against UConn's good defense. Hamilton has done his damage from the free throw line, 9 of 10 from the stripe.
And that Jeff Billett stat, that's the number that's made a difference here tonight. Rutgers has pretty much rolled into this semifinal on his back. And right now, UConn has locked him down.
Two state universities playing, University of Connecticut and the State University of New Jersey, known as Rutgers. They react to the three. Nice job by Clark to get Johnson the clean three. Hamilton held from behind.
And fortunately he was, because Khalid El-Amin streaked on the other side, broke wide open for an easy layup. Hamilton was about to deliver it.
Calhoun brings over the offensive motors. El-Amin's going to come out. He may have just needs a little water, but he cut inside the mouth there. Right back to the line, always leaning forward on the follow-through. We mentioned Rutgers is the State University of New Jersey. For those who have wondered, Colonel Henry Rutgers was a trustee back in the 1800s. He was a Revolutionary War veteran. And he's such a good trustee, they named the school after him. So it's not the State University of New Jersey, it's Rutgers.
You're such a fountain of veritable, useful information.
I just wanted to give Colonel Henry a pop in case any of his long-lost relatives are watching tonight.
Have a legacy they want to leave.
Kill it. I guess that was off Connecticut, despite what El-Amin and Kleber think. On him again.
Well, I'll tell you, Jeff Billett has just had a tough night. Every time he receives, he's got a hand in his face. Trademark Connecticut defense, contesting the shots, contesting the passes.
Billett, the junior from Jersey, was supposed to be hanging out with friends down on the Jersey Shore watching these games tonight. Sure, he's glad he's here, but would like the Huskies to leave him alone. Clark has been the only man keeping Rutgers in it. He has 15. 10 in this half. Inside of 4, the Huskies by 13.
And I like the way right now UConn has gone into their methodical mode once again, taking their time on offense, running the clock down, but still attacking, looking for opportunities.
Kleber left alone. The athleticism on the follow by UConn allowed Kleber to get free.
And that makes Jim Calhoun a lot happier right now. He'll leave Antwerp in the game with plays like that.
Kleber's trying to work his way back in the rotation. Involved in a DUI. Clark again with the finish.
It's the defensive end where Kleber seems to be having trouble. That time he got caught in no man's land. He stood still, didn't go to the penetration, nor did he cover his man as Billett exploited.
El-Amin uses the window. And Collins at 18. 18 on 21 shots. The threes continue to be cold. Husky numbers. Hartnett. He has hops.
No question, but there's no back down by Earl Johnson. This game is getting away from Rutgers, but they're still putting forth the effort. You see Khalid right here recognizing the 3-on-1, delivering the pass where he needed to, and Earl Johnson, even at 6 feet, is going to challenge.
Monquencio Hartnett will get one more. Largest lead now for the Huskies at 16. Kleber sits down for Voskuhl. I mentioned DUI with Antwerp. Kleber had him suspended for 8 days and 4 games, 1 year of probation, alcohol education programs. Kleber reinstated to the team and now trying to work his way back into the rotation. 4 situations like this when Juan and Voskuhl get in foul trouble. Number 1, it's been methodical and a 15-rounder, but the chance still standing. Sir Rogers was big for them. A little bigger small guard for Connecticut, El-Amin, along with Richard Hamilton. Partners in crime, they have 36 together. Rutgers only has 39.
Well, again, and it certainly wasn't an easy 36. Both of them struggled early offensively, but they stayed at it. They continued to chip away and relied on their strong defense until they were finally able to find some type of rhythm on the offense.
Gave it out. And Jeff Greer, the freshman, able to hit. He has a Jeff Greer and Ricardo Greer, two excellent freshmen honored in this conference for their first-year play. Ricardo with Pittsburgh. They split their head-to-head meetings. Freeman locates El-Amin and is going to bank it out and kill some clock in the final 2 minutes. Connecticut on its way to the championship game. Greer comes out of the scrum and has the number. Clark. A foul on Voskuhl, his fifth. This is one of those nights that young, learning big men seem to have. Fouls found Jake every single time.
Well, if I'm Jim Calhoun, though, I give him some congratulatory, at least consolation, just to let him know, hey, you put forth the effort. He did a nice job on the defensive end, even though he got in foul trouble. That situation right there that got him the fifth foul was created by El-Amin's carelessness. Then you have Rutgers bearing down in an advantage break. He really didn't have an opportunity to do anything but try to stop the penetration. And if you're El-Amin, it's the worst place to have a mental breakdown right in front of the coach.
One more for Clark. It's funny, we talk about big men and young big men who get into foul trouble, and you don't realize that their foul trouble often comes because they're the last line of defense.
Absolutely, and then you learn how to play as the last line of defense. You learn how to position yourself, how to angle. You learn how to disrupt advantage breaks, but that comes with time if you're going to be an excellent defender as a big man.
It's like goaltenders. Martin Brodeur is a great goaltender on the Devils.
Hello.
Whoa, Freeman got all the way up over a man and draws the foul. And now some personality from the Huskies.
We talked about attitude on the Rutgers side. Well, the young man brings a little bit of attitude of his own. You take a look here. Nice recognition by Monquincio Hartnett. Finds El-Amin, and in good ball movement, Kevin Freeman got up. And there it is. We got attitude also.
Freeman knocks one down.
You know, you watch El-Amin play, and you can see that sense of self-confidence. He exudes it.
Hodgson, there's just a lid on it for Hodgson and Billett. It's found Jeff Greer. He has 10 now.
In a situation like this, he's got to want the ball, and he's got to be able to control it, which he does and did. Pretty good free throw shooter, and this is his time right now. This is where a point guard takes over.
Cincinnati handling UAB there. The rebuild for Kevin Bannon took major steps here this weekend because people in this conference got to see on the center stage of the conference that this Rutgers team is young and building and going in the right direction.
Well, absolutely, and what they've done with their display of talent and heart in this tournament is given the program, given the faithful hope. I mean, they began the season pretty tough, lost 4 of their first 5. Then they went on a 5-game winning streak, and then there was a period where they struggled, losing 7 out of 9. And then they had a 3-game winning streak coming into this tournament and won 2 games they weren't supposed to. So that's a sign of an up-and-down team, a team that's learning how to play with each other, learning a new system. Only good things are in front of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
And there's how Kevin Bannon's team did, setting some school history. First time they've ever knocked off 3 top 25 teams. 2 of them coming in the last 3 weeks, and 1 here at the Garden over West Virginia. Everybody's back except for Clark. The senior centers had a good night tonight, and a good tournament for that matter. Spinning Greer. That's a freshman. Gets that tip. And Rutgers takes a timeout with 61 seconds left, down 13. They are out of 20, so this will be a full timeout. So we'll step aside for a moment. UConn by 13, Syracuse St. John's next. That's the view from New Jersey, where Kevin Bannon was born, played his high school ball, played his college ball. This is his third coaching job within the state at Trenton State, Division III school that is now known as the College of New Jersey. Then Ryder, 2 NCAA tournaments, and now here at the State University, Rutgers. Numbers for the Huskies. Ross Jones.
That's the way they like to finish up, with a flair, finish the game with a flair, go into that locker room with a good feeling, particularly about their offense, about their pressure and transition, and hope that carries over to tomorrow to play either St. John's or Syracuse.
Bannon's going to empty the bench and enter a couple of the players who don't see as much time. Ben Neville, Kevin Winterston coming in, as well as Johnny Blake, who is also a senior, for his last moments, and Josh Sank. Well, Jeff Billett's career has one more year. He had a memory of a lifetime, hitting a game-winning shot in the Garden and willed his team forward, but the Connecticut defense would not allow him to be a factor tonight. As the senior Clark gets to 20 points, and there's a sub waiting for him, so this would be potentially his final collegiate shot. And if he makes this shot, and he was making the shots tonight, he will set a career high. Maybe we can get him a hoop on the next trip. Career high in the Garden is your last game. The way you should go out. Classy kid, crowd favorite, a hustler, 4th in school history in blocks.
And he definitely worked hard against a number of inside defenders. Bosco, Claver. Didn't really give anything up.
Winterston picks up the foul, and Clark will check out now and get a very nice hand from the Rutgers faithful, who gobbled up some tickets to try to watch the Scarlet Knights in the semifinals. Good night for Eric Clark.
Well, if you want to go out, or you have to go out, this is the way you want to go out, showing your best. And we talked about Eric Clark, his nice moves inside. Again, it's all about courage inside when you're battling guys bigger and stronger than you. He utilized his quickness, got Voskuhl to foul out, and continued to battle all the way down to the end.
Can't come out until after the first free throw. That rule changed this year when it's 2 free throws. Now the nice departing greeting for the Rutgers senior. Hamilton and Freeman also check out. There's big hands for Clark. Todd Kowalczyk, Rob Lanier, and Dan Hurley. Bobby's brother, Dan, who played at Seton Hall, now on Kevin Bannon's Rutgers staff here. El-Amin for point 21 on the night. And College, as Jack Buck once said, we'll see you tomorrow night in the championship game. Championship week presented by 7-Up. The update is coming up with Chris Fowler and Digger Phelps. Update the bubble teams and how they do on this night, and then we get set for Syracuse and St. John's. Sellout crowd at the Garden on a Friday night. The cutter is Blake. There you go. The senior gets his final career hoop as time runs down. Number 1 in the Big East. Neither one has been pretty, but the Huskies will play for the title on Saturday night. El-Amin and Richard Hamilton combined for 39. Jeff Billett shoots 1 of 8 from the field, and the 1 seed knocks out Cinderella by 14. See you for the Johnnies and the Qs and a few in between Fowler and Phelps. Guys?
Mike, thank you. We're going to take you down to Kemper Arena now, where Texas and Oklahoma State are battling, and right now it's